It's a boogie in A. It's a 12-bar 145 tune. And it's a boogie because we're playing. Only it's harmonized this time, so we're playing 2 notes for every one. It's really not that hard to do. You only have to know how to do it, and that's the big question for most people. Now, what it really is I'm harmonizing it in thirds, and that's where you're supposed to go, because a chord, as we know it, is usually third, stacked upon third, stacked upon third, stacked upon third. So it's really not that hard. If you know the notes in your chord, you'll know what notes to use to harmonize your tune, because I'm starting out with the root here. Obviously, what's going to go on top of the root? The third. What's going to go on top of the third? The fifth. And so on and so on. What's going to go on top of the fifth and the seventh? You know, so... That's basically what you do for every chord. And what I mean by chord tones, of course, what makes that, in my head anyway, easier to understand is that there's no foreign notes, there's no strange chromatics, nothing from a new scale or an implied chord in there. It's just the chord that you're playing. And you apply those thirds to the line you're playing, and you're there. Now, as I'm showing in the second part of this, you can do the exact same thing in 1 octave up, and that's even, relatively speaking, it's easier because you actually get to see, you get a visualization of it that has a lot more to do with the chord you usually play, because this is a 5th position A chord. Now, a couple of the first double stops you're going to play in your harmonized line are already in your chord, because you are basically playing your chord. So, what I said in the first line, a major third on top of root, is something that's in your basic bar chord. The second step, the major third and the 5th, again, are in your basic bar chord position. Then it gets a little more complicated, because if from that same chord logic you would need 2 notes on the same string, which you obviously can't do. 5th and a 7th, so we're going to move that 7th, flat 7th, up a string and play it here. And that's all there is to it, really. Now, at the end on the 5 chord here in the second part, when I went back to the 1 from the 5th, I played a little flourish, I played a little melody, that kind of thing you're going to hear all over Chuck Berry's records, and all over rockabilly, really, because that double stop thing is something you're going to hear all the time. And a little descending line, and then I went into a 5th position 6/9 chord and a 12th position 6/9 chord, which again is a rockabilly staple. You can use those chords wherever you want. You can use them in intros. You can use them as a classic ending chord. Practically every Gene Vincent tune. And you can use them as chord stabs the way the horn section in a big band would play chord stabs. Now, the cute thing you might have noticed is that I'm calling both of these 6 and 9 chords. A 6/9 chord has your 6th, your 9th, in this case your 5th, and your root. There's no 7th, because then it'd be called a 13th chord. Now, I play this exact same shape on the 12th fret, and it's still the same note. It's still the same chord, only the root is on a different string here in the 5th position. My root is either here or here, on both of my E strings. If I play it on the 12th fret, my root is on the A string on the 12th fret. And that's it.